Hello, welcome to the Meet the People at SAP ANZ. I'm Shailendra and you're watching this simulcast live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Thanks for joining us and I hope you and your family are safe. For you to view this episode and other sessions that I run on emerging technologies live, I would request you to follow me so that you can be alerted when a live session is on. This gives you an opportunity to directly ask the questions from our guests. Also, if you want to hear from someone in the industry, please mention their name in the comment section. So here we go. So today's episode of Meet the People at SAP ANZ, I have Evan Mantis, who is the Executive General Manager for Consumer and Service Industries at SAP ANZ. He has been with SAP since 2006 and has held a number of different roles across the UK and Australia. He's settled in Sydney since 2011 with his wife and 2 kids and is a passionate rugby union supporter. So without any further ado, let me bring to you Evan Mantis, EGM, Consumer and Service Industries, ANZ. Hi Evan, how are you?
Johnny, very well, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Welcome to Meet the People at SAP ANZ.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Good stuff. Can you please start by briefly telling us about your background, where you come from? I've given a brief introduction, but I think we should hear from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. So, I've lived in a number of countries. I've been very lucky through my life to. I was born and raised in South Africa, then moved to the UK to do my studies. Once I'd finished my university degree, I did go back to South Africa to work in a family business, which we sold in 1999, before heading back to the UK for 11 years, which is when I fell into the IT industry and the software industry specifically, before moving to Australia in 2011 with SAP. So my SAP journey actually started, although officially it's only 2006, in the UK with Business Objects. I actually did work for an organization, or there was actually a distributor of a company called First Logic, who were acquired by Business Objects. And I started working for them in 2003. So my SAP career, I sort of feel, has really been 17 years. But if you look at my official stats in SAP and my long service, it's only 14 years.
Ah, that's interesting. Okay, so what was it about the IT industry that sparked your interest for a career in it? So did you like computers right from day one, or is it something else?
Well, I mean, in all honesty, the computers are the thing that I was probably the most afraid of. And we had a family business in South Africa, which was industrial chemical manufacturing. And it was a business that my dad and my mum started in the 60s. And after university, I went and worked for them. And I had a great time working in industry with my family. And it was a wonderful 5 years, and I gained a lot of experience. But when we sold it in 99, I decided to move back to the UK and try it out. And I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. And a friend of mine from university worked at a small software company in central London. And said to me, why don't I try it out? I had actually no interest. I had no idea what a CSV file was, not even the most basic knowledge. And I ended up having one interview and I got the job, and the rest is history. So we're 20 years on.
Okay, I can't leave you without asking this one. Born South Africa, England, Australia, and I'm Indian. Cricket can't get away from us. So no. Who's your favorite cricket team, considering you've lived in 3 countries?
Well, it might be controversial to a lot of people, but I've always been a believer that the place you were born, and so when I see the green and gold and the Protea badge in cricket, or the Springbok badge when it comes to rugby, I can't get away from that. That's going to be with me till my dying day.
Okay. So next one, is there any interesting fact about you that your colleagues, the people who you work with, and also your clients and partners don't know about?
Yeah, well, so maybe I'll just do a couple. So one of the interesting things, if we're keeping on the sort of sporting analogy, is I'm a massive Liverpool Football Club fan. So if you take my background before sort of South Africa and the UK and South Africa, my genes and my history is predominantly Greek, but I'm 1/8 Scouser. So from Liverpool, my mum's dad, and so I'm passionate about Liverpool Football Club, and hence I love the fact that I wear red. One other fact that people might not know, but I'm actually the executive sponsor for Pride at SAP, and I've been very, very privileged to be associated with them for the last 5 or so years in driving everything that goes on within the LGBTI community and lifting up their profile within our organization and more broadly. And that's had a lot of benefit to us, in particular around our Great Place to Work survey results. And I know you've spoken about those before, but very proud of the work we've been doing within Pride at SAP and the benefits that SAP more broadly are seen from that.
Okay, so can you tell us more about Pride at SAP? More in detail so more people know about it. I think this is the right platform to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what I'll do is I'll also forward after this. I'll forward a link of an interview I did with HR Direct magazine for Australia and New Zealand. And one of the great things that there are a few people I want to sort of call out, but Delia Deng, Wallace Corey have been two of the people. We didn't have an established Pride initiative in ANZ prior to 2015. And Wallace sort of came in and started to drive that, and I was lucky enough to become the sponsor of it. And since then, we've sponsored Pride, we've sponsored the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Business Association, but a number of events, Pride in Auckland and Wellington. So they've World AIDS Day. There've been a number of initiatives that we've done which have been really great at uplifting the profile and something that we can be very proud of in ANZ.
Okay. One thing I would say that we're being watched by around about 20 people at the moment, and I request all of you, if you've got any question for Evan, please type them in the comment section so that we can take those questions now. Okay, my next question to you. So your role is Exec GM, Consumer and Service Industries. What does that entail? What does your day-to-day life look like?
Yeah, so firstly, our industry group, I want to talk a little bit about that. So we're quite an eclectic set of industries. So SAP ANZ went down a full industry model about three or so years ago, three and a half years ago. And sometimes it's easier for people to understand what we do by what we don't do. So we don't do public sector or public services. We don't do financial services, and we don't do energy and natural resources. But the rest of the industries fall into our group. So whether that be retail, consumer products, telco, media, automotive, pharmaceuticals, agribusiness, postal, media, entertainment. I mean, it's a very, very broad set of industries. And one of the things we're very proud of, we've got an incredibly diverse team. So in our team, we're more than 50% female, which is, from our perspective, gives us a lot of variety of thought when it comes to being innovative. It's also just puts us at probably in a unique position from not only from a sales team but from a support team in speaking to our customers, taking different perspectives across to our customer base. Okay.
Within SAP, what has your career been? So you've grown through the ranks. More recently in Australia, what all roles have you done? What's your career journey like?
So, I was an account executive at Business Objects. When SAP acquired Business Objects, I ended up in a line of business role around analytics and information management, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I think in many ways, people coming into SAP in sales roles, doing a line of business role is a really, really good way to start understanding the processes and start understanding the customers, start understanding the business overall. I moved from that into becoming an industry account executive back in 2011, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and still to this day, I believe it is probably the greatest job that I've had in my life. I was very lucky for 5 years to look after Woolworths as an account, and many other customers within the retail and consumer product space. I then moved into becoming general manager for New South Wales before moving into the executive general manager role for consumer and service industries. So a number of roles across the sales organization.
So that shows how diverse SAP is. And once you get into SAP, you could actually land up doing a whole bunch of roles. And it's quite a good amount of variety that you get to have in SAP.
I think that's one of the greatest things about SAP is that the breadth of technology, the relevance we have across so many lines of business within our customer base, the job opportunities and roles that you have, even the fact, from my personal perspective, moved over from the UK to Australia, SAP made that possible. It's such an amazing company, and there's so much opportunity. It's really about embracing the business and enjoying it and giving it your all. And if you're seen as one of those people who gives it 100% all the time or 110% all of the time, your value will be recognized, and you can continue to make a great career here.
So that you've actually answered the next question, which I was about to ask. So what do you think is the best thing about working at SAP? And I thought that is the answer to that question, and you've answered it up front, because for me, that is the best thing to work at SAP.
Yeah, look, I think that's certainly part of it. From my perspective, is the great opportunity and the passionate people that we have, and the latest crisis it also showed is that we're a bunch of resilient people and empathetic people, and you only have to listen to Jen Morgan's latest CNBC interview about what SAP is doing to give back during the crisis. So I think that's the way companies should be judged, is not only the way they act in the good times, it's about how they act in times of crises and what they give back. Yep. And we've seen some great examples of SAP giving back to the community, and making Ariba Discovery available to our customers. I certainly have some stories from some of our customer base within our team where one client had a shortfall, not surprisingly, of hand sanitizer and face masks, and went and used Ariba to Discovery to source from suppliers that they didn't know existed before, outside of their traditional supplier base. So little things like that are really helping, and I've no doubt there's going to be more to come as we move forward through this crisis.
Yep. Okay, so what is your key focus? And I know that things are changing with COVID-19 at the moment, but what is your key focus in the coming year, or this particular year at SAP?
Well, so we're a fairly new team. So we a lot of us joined the team. Of the 12 account executives in our team, only 2 in their roles back in 2018. So the first thing we listened to our customers, and one of the first things we wanted to do was get consistency within our team. So we've been lucky enough to go in with consistency in 2020 to what we had at the start of 2019. So we've really tried to put a great focus on listening to our customers, empathizing with our customers, understanding their businesses, and being able to speak in their language. The feedback we've had from our customers is they don't want to have account executives chop and changing every year. Yep. So we made a concerted effort. It's a 3 to 4 year plan where we want to keep everyone in their roles. We want to live our customers' businesses. And actually, the latest crisis, I know we might be bringing this up a few times during this discussion, but it really has shown that empathetic nature of all the individuals that are within our team, and how quickly they've become relevant and key go-to people for their customers. It's been wonderful to see.
Okay, I know the questions are changing as we're getting through this situation at the moment, but what are the key questions or common questions that you hear from your customers when you talk about business transformation, digital transformation? When you go and talk to the retailers or the consumer goods organizations. Is there any commonality in the questions they ask, or are they different kind of problems that you're trying to solve?
Well, I mean, it's a great question. So just if we look pre-COVID, consumer products and retail is probably one of the most interesting examples of where things are changing, because the lines are very much blurring between retailers and consumer products companies. We're seeing retailers moving more into, in many cases, to their own home brands. So almost trying to, if you like, eat the lunch of some of the consumer products companies. And conversely, a lot of consumer products companies are trying to market directly to the end consumer. And so, as I said, the lines are blurring, and customers are looking at how to become more innovative and more creative about how they can change their business models to remain relevant as time goes on and the digital age sort of manifests itself. So it's very interesting, and they're pretty similar examples across many industries, but that's just one for around retail and consumer products.
Okay, and to just point that out, I think I should mention here or promote another show that I run parallelly, where I bring in intelligent technologies, guided outcome owners. I'm running a marathon every day, and I think that would be another interesting show for people to watch, because we're picking up each and every solution in the intelligent technology space and peeling the onion there so that people can understand what we're doing. Anyways, enough of promotion. Next question.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to watching it.
How are digital technologies being leveraged by SAP customers, and what kind of SAP products do they look for when they're talking about digital transformation, business transformation? Is there, because one more thing that comes to mind, and I want to unravel it, is that whenever you talk SAP to someone, they would think ERP. And that is that a kind of problem that you also see when you go and talk to your customers?
Yeah. So look, I mean, one of the key things if we talk about about ERP quickly is that there is still a large part of our customer base and our prospect base that think of the SAP of old. Those days are gone. You know, ERP project or digital transformation when it comes to rolling out S4 these days is a far different prospect and far easier than it's ever been before. And the reason behind that is people are looking to do as few customizations and just taking products as standard. And so we're seeing projects that are lasting 3 to 6 months, so that in the old days would have taken, you know, a couple of years potentially. We're also seeing customers doing a lot of innovation using the SAP Cloud Platform, rapid innovation to extend applications, to build point solutions. It's been very, very interesting to see how our customers are starting to think differently about SAP technology and leveraging solutions like Cloud Platform more broadly. We're also seeing a massive rise, and that's actually been accelerated now with COVID, is the number of companies that are focusing on our e-commerce platform and the commerce cloud. So it's really exciting, and I think we've got a huge trajectory and a huge growth potential that we'll see, in particular in our area, around e-commerce and the uptake of commerce cloud and solutions in our portfolio.
Well, I think you're right, and we did mention it earlier in the morning when I mentioned that, you know, there is one statement that has been going around: who is the biggest driver of digital transformation in your organization? Is it the CEO, the CFO, or COVID-19? And the answer to that is COVID-19, because I think that has really pushed the digital transformation story in all the organizations really, really quickly.
I agree with that, and I just want to give one example as well. But this is there's one particular customer, and there'll be many, but a lot of customers now with COVID coming up, a lot of companies are seeing that they may have been late to the table with regards to e-commerce, and now only understanding and recognizing the benefit of it. But you've got to have a company like Sigma, who are one of Australia's largest wholesale and distributors of pharmaceuticals. And they embarked on a B2B e-commerce platform to sell and provide visibility of their products and orders to all the pharmacies within their network. They did that a couple of years ago. So they leverage Commerce Cloud, and they also couple that with Qualtrics. So in order to provide feedback from the pharmacies on the service that they're providing. So not only have they managed to digitize their business, but they've also improved customer experience at the same time. So I know we talk about X&O, and the experience management has been so unbelievably important, but Sigma are a fine example of how a company can take those technologies, couple them together, and really bring the X&O story to life.
Okay. I remember, I'll come to another point there. I think you're absolutely right. But before I get there, I wanted to make a comment. Lots of people actually came to me through individual messages that they're going to be watching this, and I've got 21 people watching at the moment. What I haven't seen is a question, but I don't know what are they so involved in watching us that they just forgot typing in the questions, because they said me personally that they will be asking questions, and I haven't seen a question yet. So guys,
okay, well,
sorry, go.
No, I was going to say, if there are no questions, we can just keep talking until the end.
Oh, yeah, we can keep talking till the cows come home. But anyways, let's look at the next question, which I have for you. Is there any one case study that you can share from your customer, where you've seen a real benefit coming out of digital transformation and utilizing the intelligent technologies that we bring in? Please share it with us.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think just first to just reiterate, a company like Sigma, who you just mentioned, have done some incredible things by coupling Commerce Cloud with Qualtrics. But there are also companies like Ruralco, who have now been acquired by Nutrien in Canada. But they used SCP, and this is even in the days before they moved on their S4 journey. So they used SCP to rapidly innovate and create some incredible apps for in-store stock taking, for in-store point of sale systems, where a store associate can walk around the floor with an iPad, speak to customers in the store, understand whether, if a product wasn't in the store, whether there was one in the back shed or whether there was one at the take a sale and either get the product brought to the store or delivered directly to their home. Now,
sure.
In rural communities, that's something that we should be very proud of at SAP, that we were able to enable. But they should also be very proud as a customer that they managed to have the foresight to take those technologies and do creative and innovative things with them.
Yep. Okay. COVID-19, and we should have a question around that because we are in this situation. Do you see at the end of this, I'm sure this is going to end in a couple, 2-3 months time, do you see real winners and losers here, or is it, because we hear a lot of stories around lots of problems, but we don't hear those success stories. So is there anything in your point of view where you've seen in your side of things, is there real winners and real losers? What's going on?
Yeah. So, and look, I think the first thing I want to say about COVID is, firstly, our thoughts are with anyone that's been affected, and their loved ones, but not only in Australia, New Zealand, but globally and all over the world. And unfortunately, I don't think we've seen the worst yet in many countries. We're very lucky in Australia and New Zealand in the sense that the curve seems to be flattening. So we can't take anything for granted, but it's very impressive, in my opinion, the way the government has dealt with the crisis over here. But there's certainly been some winners. Certainly the grocery and pharmaceutical industries have seen a massive spike in sales. They have had challenges in certain areas of their supply chain through no fault of their own. It just came upon us so fast, but they've certainly been winners. But there's certainly also been, on the flip side, certain industries that have been hugely affected. And it won't be news to anyone that industries like the airlines, hospitality, entertainment, fashion retailers have been hit very, very hard by this. Interestingly, we were, talking about this in our team earlier, and it's great to see also the innovation that's coming out of some of those industries that are most affected. There are restaurants that have now looked at, home delivery service and looking at, leveraging some of their employees to, do home deliveries, and they're trying to keep themselves relevant. And some of them, very small scale, but, built e-commerce platforms in a couple of weeks, not necessarily to do with SAP, but just, just being innovative and starting to think. So, it's going to be interesting to see whether the impact of COVID is going to be and how broad it's going to be. That certainly will have an effect, but we don't know how broad that's going to be. Obviously, the longer it goes on, the broader I believe it'll and more of an impact from a lasting perspective it'll have. But what has been great to see, if there is a positive that you can take out of it, is that it's shown that the most innovative and the best people will rise up, and it's going to be great. I think we're going to see some really interesting activity post this in the M&A market. So we've seen a lot of that already in our group for the last 2 years. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the next 2 years.
I'll make two comments here. One is that only 3 months ago, it's not that long ago, when I was in January presenting somewhere, I was asked this question bluntly: how many jobs will AI take away? And there were numbers that everyone was throwing around saying, well, yeah, 30% of the job force this is going to happen, and there was all doomsday coming. No one is asking that question today. Everyone is worried about COVID. That's not there anymore. The second point, when I used to live in India a long time ago, 20 years ago, we used to have free home delivery. And I came to Australia and I was like, okay, there is nothing called free home delivery. If I ask someone to set up a restaurant and start doing free home delivery, that will be a hit, because I'd seen that working very well in India, because we would have little corner joints, and as you would have in England, where people are cooking food, and that food could be sent to someone's home within a particular 2 kilometers area, right? That was a great business model. And you just mentioned that something like that is now coming up, and it's going to happen across the world, actually, because that's a new business model. So new business models will come across once COVID-19 actually gets over.
Absolutely, and it's. I don't think there's going to be any going back. And the other area actually that I did want to talk about is it's going to be companies are looking at far more secure and certain supply chains. So there's it's great to see the number of customers that we've had here that have taken up the offer of SAP Ariba Discovery to support their organization through the crisis, which we're providing free for a period of 3 months initially. And we know a lot of customers have taken advantage of that. And having a secure supply chain and a supply chain that can provide you certainty of supply is as important as being able to sell. So you can only sell what you have, and you want, again, that customer experience, that experience management. You need to be able to source your goods in order to sell them, or to be able to manufacture them and make them and sell them. So that's going to be the other area where I think there's going to be a lot of focus moving forward, or more focus.
And as you mentioned that, I think what comes to mind is, I think more and more now people will be utilizing the text, the survey, the information that people are talking about to create new products. Because of course, I don't think the same industries and the same products will exist or survive post once we get over all this. I think people will have to come up with new products and new services. And I think the best way of doing that would be understanding what people are wanting on through the text information that they're writing through or speaking through or visualizing or whatever, and bringing it back with the operational data. So XO and XNO data bringing together will actually create more new products in the market very soon. So I think that's the space to watch.
Absolutely agree.
Okay, now let's come to the audience questions. I have a few. People have started asking, so that's good. So first of all, I'll make this one up quickly. Gareth Lloyd from SAP has said one thing. His comment is, "Yep, agree. A great story from Sigma." So he's given the link as well, so people can watch that. That's from Gareth. Getting on to YouTube. So there's a question on YouTube. Oh, before that, let's go to Twitter. So there's a question on Twitter, or mention on Twitter, which says, it is from Sandy SA5404453. I would imagine Sandy. Hi, Sandy. How are you? And the question is, there are more restrictions on parking at car parks by the beach here in Queensland. Made a comment. I think that also shows how COVID is impacting all of that, which means more taxis. What do you think about that comment?
So, trying to link the be relevant about the parking. Is that no more or now more?
Now more restrictions.
So there are more restrictions. Yeah. So I mean, that's just a simple fact of the world that we're living in, whether we call it the new normal or the interim normal. All I can say is that if we spoke about flattening the curve, the more people that stay at home, the fewer people that go to the beach, the fewer people the more we maintain that social distancing, the better off we're all going to be, and the faster we'll come out of this. So I think that's about as much as I say. So don't go to the beach, Sandy.
Yep, absolutely, Sandy. Don't go to the beach as yet. Let this get over. Next, there is another question on YouTube from Elizabeth Rionoga. Hi, Elizabeth. How are you? She's saying, "Hi, Shelley. Can you ask Evan to share how he's keeping his team performing at the best during isolation?" Very, very relevant question.
Thank you for the question. So we've got a fantastic team. I did mention at the beginning that SAP is a very fun place to work, and I've no doubt there are a few people in our team who had probably never used Teams or Zoom or a lot of these other platforms previously, but they've now just become second nature to all of us.
Yep.
One of the things that we do each week is we have a Friday afternoon get together that we've named Quarantini. So we all get together, have a drink for half an hour, whether not necessarily alcoholic. It's whatever anyone wants to bring. And we get together, we have a bit of fun, but also we've seen that not only within our team, but also all across SAP ANZ. Today we had our branch manager of New South Wales do a check-in with all of us for half an hour, and every week we have our managing director Damien Buena do his MD awards. So I was laughing with Damien yesterday, saying that it almost feels like the King's speech each week, similar to Queen Elizabeth speaking just a couple of days ago. It's everyone waits for the King's speech, and it's a resounding way of lifting the spirits.
Absolutely, I think that is brilliant, because the way Damien comes in and speaks, it's like sitting on the table. It's brilliant. I think that's something great from Damien. Okay. There is another question before I go, and that's on LinkedIn from Seng Hui So. I think this is from Singapore. Hi, Seng, how are you? And the question is, how to best pitch digital transformation to SME post COVID-19?
So we're very passionate about SME, and sometimes I'm not sure that we do enough advertising. But interesting, before I sort of answer the question, I was in Johannesburg middle of last year and walking through the airport in Joburg, and there was a massive sign up advertising that SAP was not only for the top end of town, but it was for the small and medium enterprise market.
Yep.
And there's no doubt that the biggest growth that SAP is going to be seeing over the next few years is within that space. Our solutions are now designed for the SME marketplace. They're fast to deploy. They're not only for the top end of town, they're so relevant for that part of that market sector. And it needn't only be S4. We have got such a wealth of solutions and breadth of solutions, from procurement to sales and marketing to HR, etc., supply chain, manufacturing. We are relevant for every single business in every single market.
Perfect. I think we run over time, but thank you very much. And it was a pleasure having you here, Evan. I think we had consistently around about 15 to 20 people watching all the time. And I haven't seen the other stats, but this is what I'm seeing on the screen. So thank you very much. I think it was very well received and very well appreciated. I still am going to catch those two guys who told me that they're going to ask questions. And I think one of our common friends told you as well. So, and I will name him now. Sham, I'm going to come and ask you, why didn't you ask a question? If you're there, where is your question, Sham? Anyways, so Evan, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you here. And yeah, thank you.
Can I say one last thing just to finish?
Yep, sure. All your wait a minute. I'll do this.
Yes,
Yours.
so I just wanted to say I'm wearing my Lacoste shirt, and I know we spoke about the impact on a lot of fashion retailers and a lot of organizations and certain industry sectors across the board. I'm wearing this in solidarity with one of my great customers. So all the best to you guys, and just want everyone to stay healthy and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you, Evan. Thank you very much. So guys, that was Evan Mantis, the EGM for consumer and services industry at SAP. It was a pleasure having him here, and he's spending some time with us and some great questions by the audience. Thank you very much for watching us today. I'll be back with another episode of Meet the People at SAP ANZ next week. Till then, goodbye. Stay safe, take care, and please don't go out, stay indoors. This is important. Thank you very much. See you next week. Bye now.